Hey New Life Youth, it's Courtney here and I am so excited because today we are continuing our discussion around what it means to be a kingdom person. We've got Jason joining us today, and today we're just going to be looking at the question, what does it actually mean for us to be blessed? Jason, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling #blessed, and I can't wait to talk about this a little bit more, but why don't we hear our Bible verse to get us started?
The Beatitudes.
God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for Him, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied.
So I think when we start talking about what it means to be blessed, I think we've probably straight up got to acknowledge that the world's definition of blessed is very different to God's definition of what it means to be blessed. In society today, you look at the idea of being blessed, and oftentimes that's attributed to people with wealth, with certain clothes, with the amount of followers they have on Instagram, that sort of thing. Instead, I think what we see here, Jace, is that being blessed is more about a heart posture that we have rather than the materials that we own.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's really correct, Courtney. When we look at blessed, even like you look at how we use it as Christians, rarely do we say I've had a rough day, I've been on the side of the road with a broken heart, I've seen someone really struggling in life, I'm blessed. Yeah. Instead, we use the term blessed as a real transactional, like we've gained something, like, I'm blessed, I've got a new pair of shoes, or I've got a pay rise, or things like that. And if our understanding of blessing is purely by accumulating in this transactional physical thing, then our understanding of God's actually warped. When we understand God's heartbeat, God doesn't want us to accumulate more and more things and, be blessed by, because of a new car or a new this or a new that. But actually what God is saying is exactly what you said, is that being blessed is actually when our hearts are so aligned with God's that we're not actually worried about the things of this world. Yeah. We're concerned about the people and God's people in our world. And so, so when it says these things like blessed are the poor, what does it actually look like? Like, what does that mean, blessed are the poor? This is good stuff for us to be asking.
Yeah, and I think what we see here in this verse is it's pretty confronting, to be honest. To hear that blessed are the poor, or blessed are the meek, or blessed are the other thing.
The cheesemakers. It's a Monty Python reference.
I think what we see here, I think Jesus in this moment, what he's trying to do is he's trying to demonstrate what the world would look like if God was really in charge, and if we allowed him to be in charge. And I think what we see here is that God is a God who comforts some, he confronts others, but he actually commissions us all. And so today I'd love for us to just unpack what those three things mean. So Jace, when it talks about God being a God who comforts some, what does that mean? What do you?
Yeah. I think our understanding of comfort helps us once again understand this level of blessing. See, if you think of comfort purely based on you're sad, so let me give you a pat on the back and tell you a funny joke and cheer you up. Well, that's at a very surface level. If you actually understand what comfort is in this situation, when we look at the life of Jesus, the way in which Jesus comforted people was he actually walked alongside them.
Yeah.
He gave them an identity. He gave them names. He actually in terms of the societal structure of the time, Jesus lowered himself to be with those people and to be at one with those people. And so when we look at the term comfort, we can't look at it like, comfort food or watching a happy movie to cheer us up, but actually understand that God, through Jesus Christ, actually gets alongside us and he walks with us. Sometimes he doesn't pull us out of our mess, because it says, blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek, like these things that you've said, Courtney, is that God doesn't pull us out of those and, give us a nice house on the beach. Yeah. There's actually us understanding that in that, God is actually there present in our lives. So that's what it means for us to be comforted.
And I think when it then looks at confronting others, I think I will be the first to admit that this passage of scripture is extremely confronting to me. The thought of being blessed when I'm mourning is not something that I want to, I don't cry and be like, oh, I'm so blessed. That's not how it happens. And it says in the Bible that God is like it's harder for the rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. So when we look at the world's definition of blessed, and we then can I know I have so easily fall into the trap of like trying to earn money and save so that I can do this. Not that any of that is necessarily bad, but God is pretty clear that it's harder for those who have wealth to enter the kingdom of heaven. That should be confronting because society tells us that that's actually what we should be chasing, that we should be chasing after these materialistic things. And yet God says, hey, it's actually gonna be harder for you to enter the kingdom of heaven. Why do you think God says that? Like, why is it harder for us to enter the kingdom of heaven when we have these materialistic things?
Once again, we as humanity, we're conditioned, Courtney, to consume, to build our empire, to build our name, to build our following. Like, you name it, like we're all in some degree, we're conditioned to build something. And what Jesus is saying here in this moment is those of you who have built your own empires, you've missed out on something so much more beautiful. And so this confronting that Jesus does, because you read it, like the Sermon on the Mount, like, you know, Jesus just fed all of these people. It's this beautiful moment. And then he kind of like puts the gloves on. He's like, all right, let's go. Like, you know what it means to be my follower. Like, it's full on. But there's actually some comfort in this, in the way in which he confronts those people, because he says, no, it's not about flicking and ticking. It's not about doing this. It's not about that. It's actually about a posture of your heart. And so that confrontation that Jesus gives us, whenever he confronts us, I think it's always a heart check for us. And if we as followers of Christ haven't had a little heart check in a while, or we haven't been confronted by some of the teachings of Jesus and what God actually teaches us in Scripture, I would encourage you to really get stuck into the Word, spend 5 minutes in there, and hopefully something will be confronting for you, but it's a good thing for us to be confronted.
Yeah, and I think it's through that moment of confrontation and feeling confronted by what Jesus says that we're able to actually be refined to become kingdom people. I think it's a constant refining process. And then I think also through this, Jace, he actually demonstrates that he's commissioning us all. And if Jesus is a God that comforts and who is close to the brokenhearted, then I think we as Christians, we as followers of Christ should be that too. I think it's a constant cycle and a process of being confronted and having those heart checks, Jace, but then also then going and getting alongside those who are hurting and who are walking through tough seasons and actually just like, being kingdom people in that moment and loving on them well. And then I think, what?
Yes. No, like once again, Courtney, like you hit the nail on the head there. And once again, like there's not this, and this is the beauty of the gospel. Is that we are all on this even playing field. That Jesus actually like came down to be with all of us in the hope that our hearts would be transformed. By his good news, and from that we would be sent out to go and share that good news with other people. And so I love this. Like I love the fact that Jesus models this first. You look at his disciples and they were a bunch of dropkicks. Like on paper they were like the D grade, I don't know, football team that, they kind of don't work well together, but they were just the hodgepodge leftover group. And Jesus actually made something beautiful out of these disciples because they first saw the way in which he lived out, he practiced what he preached, the way he called people to action. Then he gave them this commissioning to say, all right, disciples, now it's your turn to go and do that. We read that in the scriptures. After they've understood some of these basic concepts that, they still try and understand all through the New Testament, but he sends them out and he says, all right, now it's your turn to go. Go for it. Don't take much stuff. Don't take the things you've accumulated. Don't take all of this stuff you've built up. In fact, he says, like, basically go with the bare minimum. I'm pretty sure it's like take a pair of sandals and some clothes and that's it. Like, and then Jesus says, go out, be blessed. You are blessed now, and go show other people what that means. So, I think like the commission's a part of it. And so what does it mean for us to live a blessed life? Well, it doesn't mean for us to accumulate. It doesn't mean for us to build up things, but it actually means that our hearts are aligned of that with God. And because of that, when we are truly blessed, then of course we're going to go out and we're going to understand that commissioning. To go out and to see that person who's in the schoolyard, the smelly kid, the one who no one likes, the person on our sporting team who are just kind of like, oh, you're the worst, or that person at work that everyone bickers about, or that person who's down the street who you look and you see their overgrown lawn, or there's things and you think, hey, actually, I want to be a part of changing this. I want to show the good news of Jesus Christ to these people. That's what it means to truly be blessed.
And then also be a blessing as well. I think like in those moments Like, blessed are those who mourn. How cool would it be if we were the reason that they were? Does that make sense? Like, if we got alongside them and we were able to be a blessing in that moment simply by comforting or getting alongside, like, I think that then also is able to be part of the blessing. I think it's a pretty cool cycle. New Life Youth, can I encourage you, when talking about this idea of being blessed, I know it can be quite confronting for some people, but I encourage you to go to the Bible and actually ask some of these questions, like, of yourself, and be like, okay, like, what do I believe? Like, this is what it says, and unpack it for yourself, and ask God to help you understand this, and ask God to confront you with some of this stuff, because I think it's a constant process of becoming more like Christ, becoming more kingdom people. But thank you so much for watching. Can I encourage you to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can catch up on all our content and be updated when we post more. But thank you so much, and we will see you next time.